Welcome back, guys. Thanks for joining me for another beer review. Hope you're all well. Carnarvon, Travelodge. Right, the beer we are bringing you now is a brewery that I found yesterday looking online. And I paid them a visit, basically. It's a new brewery to me. And it's one I'd never heard of. And I've done all these searches around it. And some of these breweries I've seen before. Well, I've heard of most of them before from doing the searches, but this was one that I hadn't. Had to drive 12 miles to get there and 12 miles to get back, obviously. But the brewery, like I say, is a new one to me, and it is a proper little microbrewery. And I went to have a nosy, and that the bloke invited me in and what have you. Lovely chap, Hugh, his name I think it was. And it is just a tiny little family-run microbrewery. I've done a video of the beers that I've got coming up. Obviously this is one of them, and there's a nice little story to it and that, so I'm glad they're still going because of that story. So obviously by the time I release this, that video will be up. Hopefully you'd watch that and you'll know what I'm on about. But like I say, new brewery, and they're from Garwin, I believe that's how you pronounce it. North Welsh coast, sort of. I had to go back a bit and then head up sort of to Holyhead way, if you like. And it's from a Bragg. Hang on. Let me have a look. No, fuck it. I can't even say the bloody thing. Bragdy. No, Bragdy. Bragdy Mona. I should start this video again, but I'm not, so apologies to all the Welsh out there. We are taking a look at a beer from Bragdy Mona, or Mona. Bragdy Mona Brewery. And this is a can of their Paradwys. Now, if I've got that wrong, please correct me. I've got 90% of it wrong so far. Yeah, this is their Paradwys. It's a pale ale. It's in a 440ml can, and it is coming in at, let me have a look, 4%, I think. I think it's coming in at 4%. I can hardly read the bloody thing. It's the light. 4% pale ale, Paradwys, 440ml can. Don't know how much it should have been, but I got 6 cans for 20 quid. So it's coming in at about £3.25ish, something like that. But I think they were around the £3.50 mark, if you like. So nice artwork. There we go. Have a look at that quickly. Don't have one of their glasses. They didn't have a glass. Very small brewery. Literally, they can a few and they whack them in a fridge. So it's going in that one. It's slightly chilled. They were very chilled when I got them. But that was a while ago. So let's get it into a glass and see what we get. 4% hazy pale ale, or pale ale. What am I expecting? I'm expecting it to be light. Now, I've not had, like I say, I've never heard of these. It is a little bit lively on the pour. But I've not had any of theirs. 4%. I'm expecting it to be reasonably light. Possibly quite carbonated, which is how that's looking at the moment. But if I'm honest, looking at it in a glass, yeah, a little bit lively, we'll give it that. But it's a hazy sort of amber, orange amber looking beer. Looks all right. A lovely, well, we say a little bit too big, but it's a good 2.5, 3 finger mix and match sort of bubble head. I'm not seeing any carbon. There's a few little bubbles going up, but this glass doesn't create nothing. So, what does it say on the can, if I can read anything? Ingredients: malted barley, wheat, oats, water, yeast, hops. That's it. That's all it's saying. So, beer looks decent. Let's have a sniff, see what we get. Yeah, tropical sort of number. It's got a fair aroma, to be honest, for 4%. It's maybe punching above its weight on the aroma. Tropical, pineapple, passion fruit, that sort of thing. A little bit of hops, but smells perfectly acceptable. Perfectly acceptable, that does. So we'll try and get a bit more in. is a tad lively. So let's dive in. Bragdy Mona or Bragdy Mona and their Paradwys Pale Ale, 4%. Cheers. Yeah, I think it's everything I sort of expected. 4% pale ale. It's not going to be the heaviest beer going. It's going to be reasonably light and probably well carbonated. That is what this is. I'm not going to lie there. Saying that, when you drink it, even though it drinks quite light, I'm going to say this has got a good body. For 4%, that is pretty decent. Carbonation, yeah, it is a little bit busy, but again, it's not a massive surprise to me in this sort of beer. It's quite well carbonated. It does roughen up the mouth a little bit, but not to the extent it really sort of ruins it. I'll give it that. It doesn't, the body still sort of manages to hide some of that carbonation. What I will say with the bubbles as well in this, because it is quite sprightly, it really releases them flavours in your mouth. So while it's sort of popping in your mouth, you are getting a bigger sort of, a bigger hit of flavour, if you like. Ignore the carbonation, liquid's nice and smooth, so a pretty decent body for what it is. Well, I'm going to say it is a decent body for what it is. Obviously, you've got to take into account it's only a sort of light 4% pale ale, but it is a decent body. We'll get the rest in there. There is several lumps that have gone in the bottom of that. There is a few lumps there, you can see that there. That's quite nice to see, and it has gone a little bit murkier from the yeast. But we'll give you some tasting notes now. Oh yeah, and you get that yeastiness in the flavour then. It's changed the flavour. Hoppy, very much yeasty now. It's gone a little bit dank, if you like. Tropical notes still there. Sort of passion fruit, pineapple sort of thing going on. Quite bold on the flavours, it's got to be said. It's definitely given it a big dank sort of bitterness the yeastiness has. It's certainly added to it. Makes it very sort of dry on the back end now. Pardon me. It's almost given it a creaminess as well, which is probably going to be the oats that are helping that. But giving it that little bit of a swirl, it's still got a nice head. Head is still sticking to the glass. It still looks good. Yeah, for me, that's decent. When I look at some of the sort of drinks I've had lately, some of the reviews I've released, I've been disappointed with some of the beers. I feel like some of them have felt like I've been a bit robbed. With what I've got these beers for, and there wouldn't have been much difference. He knocked about, I think it was about £1.60 I think he knocked off over the 6 cans, so it's about 25p each. But when I look at some of the other beers that I've had that have been bigger bodies or bigger ABVs, more expensive, this really, quite honestly, is putting them ones to shame. So it's got to be said, my first try of a Bragdy Mona or Bragdy Mona beer out of Paradwys, if you like, North Wales. Their Paradwys decent drop for what it is. You really, for the style it is and the ABV, you cannot knock that beer. So yeah, would I get it again? I think that's very decent for what it is. I'd try that again. Pardon me. If you're on the North Wales coast, give their stuff a try. If you've had it before, let me know what you think. Feel free to comment. Thank you all for watching. Hope you've enjoyed it. I have waffled on and I've burped a lot. Ooh, Chinese for tea. That's it for this one. Apologies for all that, and I'll see you again soon on another one. Go check them out.